about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, interestingly, I am noticing that a lot of people are struggling, and we're going to be talking about the shutdown and other things, and we got some great news. But right now, we're kind of coming into a very stressful time again. People are to get sick. We knew right before the holidays people would start getting sick. People are looking at their insurance premiums. There's chaos as it pertains to the Affordable Care Act, which was chaotic to begin with, and the way it was designed. And so there's a lot of anxiety about people and their health. And then on top of that, there is some confusion as it pertains to vaccines, as it pertains to what should they do. And it is a chaotic time, and that's okay. Critics of this administration and people supporting this administration, I think we can all agree that it's in a reset. And so I like to be here to try to guide you all. And I know it's, not easy to, try to kind of, anticipate what you're going to need for next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. And so what I always tell everybody to do is take a step back. Now, I'm noticing a lot of people were not wanting to get sick, and this week they're getting sick, and they're calling up the telemedicine companies panicking, saying, I need something. I have to travel. And I worry that they're going to make the wrong decisions. And so first and foremost, I want everybody to take a deep breath. Okay? It's holiday season is always stressful. Government stuff is always stressful. It's the shutdown was ridiculous. Should have never happened. And thank God for Democrats coming to their senses and signing the CR like they should have. But you have to make some decisions today. All right. If you're a federal worker, hopefully the money comes into your bank soon because you need that money soon. I know with their traffic controllers are going to try to pay them within the next 48 to 72 hours or 24 to 48 hours. For the rest of the federal workers, I am sure the money's going to come soon. In terms of those of us that are figuring out what to do with this next cough, cold, flu season, what to do with travel, etc. What I always do in my life is I always anticipate the worst. I always have plan B, C, and D. And every time I do that, I'm able to go through things a little less stressful. Now, when I fly, I take the shortest trip possible because I work so much that if my flight doesn't come in Sunday night at 10:30 p.m., I feel like I'm screwed. Well, then, fly back Saturday or anticipate, have plan B. Tell your boss, look, Monday, because of the travel chaos and all that, I'm anticipating there could be some problems. What should we do? I don't want to miss work Monday, but I also don't want to panic and get mad at flight attendants and be abusive like what a lot of people are doing. I want to make sure I'm calm and cool. What should be plan B if I can't get back on Monday or the following Monday, etc.? What if I get sick? Do you guys ever plan when you travel for if you're sick? I do. I'll pack the medicines I think I will need. The ibuprofen, some Zofran. If I think, let's say I'm going to get, some sort of pneumonia, I might carry an extra antibiotic or UTI. Thank God I never need them. So they're kind of old. If they're expired, you need to throw them out. But if you don't think you're going to be able to go to an urgent care or see a doctor, plan what you can with medications that you have to pack. Make sure they're in your carry-on. Don't have them in your suitcase. And then if you are going to be traveling and staying extensively somewhere else, double check with your insurance where you could go. We should be doing that in town. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you asked me which hospital I could go to, I could name one on my insurance. And I think I know the hospital system well enough, so I know I could go to any of those. But is it changing now with the new plan? Do they want me to use a different hospital as the preferred? So make sure you know where to go. And then if you are going to be out of state, contact your insurance on where they want you to go if you're out of state. Don't just assume you have no coverage. You may still have coverage, but make sure you have that plan. And if you do have a plan, yeah, it's easier. We in school planned fire drills all the time. There were always fire drills. So when my house had a fire, I wasn't panicked. Watching the room burn down, part of the house burn down. I mean, my dad had to grab me and get me out of the house. I didn't have any socks and shoes on because I was really fascinated by the smoke and the fire, and I was watching it. I was like, oh, this is interesting. But, yeah, because I was a dumb kid. But, when you plan it out, everybody can be very relaxed and calm about it. So now, do you usually get the flu? Do you usually get COVID? If you do, you might want to consider vaccinating if that helps you. Do you usually run out of medications? Do you usually have an issue where you need to see a doctor and your doctor's not available? You might want to consider making an appointment with your doctor, even if it's just a checkup. It's really hard to get preventative medicines online. If you're like, look, I'm going on vacation, I want an antibiotic just in case. Most telemedicine companies won't do that because of all the antibiotic overprescribing. But if your doctor knows you and says, look, every time you travel, you get pneumonia, or you get a COPD exacerbation, or we don't want to wait till you're sick. With telemedicine, we're here to help when you are actively sick. But if you say, look, I'm going on vacation, so I want a steroid, I want a Z-Pak, I want Cipro for a UTI, I want a steroid cream for my eczema, you're not going to be able to get that online. So make sure you reach out to your medical provider. And also, one of the biggest pieces of advice I give everybody is anticipate the unexpected. Right? What happens if you lose your job? Are you ready? Are you going to lose your insurance? And I know people are like, I don't want to think that because if I think that, I jinx myself and then the bad luck happens. I think we should always be thinking that. What is our plan? I remember my parents in the 80s were saying that they read something saying you should have at least 3 to 6 months of your income in your savings in case you lose the job. And I remember my parents saying, we barely have a month. We don't have that. So these are just, anticipate what could happen. I know it's not a very positive, fun segment on my show. I apologize. I got good news coming up. But, if you're prepared, it's less damaging. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. All right, guys, we are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So one thing I cannot stand hearing is when, we come out of a movie theater or I'm watching a show or something. And throughout my life, somebody would look at the TV and go, wow, she's losing her looks. Or, boy, she lost her looks. Or people will talk about somebody we went to school with and go, yeah, I saw her recently. She lost her looks. She lost her looks. And I heard that as a kid all the time. Oh, look at her. Boy, she's losing her looks. You just keep hearing that. Now, I even caught my husband say that. He's like, who is that? And I go, well, remember we watched her in this movie? Oh, wow. She lost her looks. And said, I'm going, okay, well, what do you, oh my God, what do you think about me then? Luckily, I never had looks to lose. So I when I was younger, I was like, well, gosh, if I ever look good, I'm going to lose it. Yeah. So luckily that never happened. So if you don't have anything to lose, you're pretty happy. But a lot of us are in a position where we're losing our looks, and we are losing our looks rapidly. And even though I never felt pretty, I never felt attractive, maybe I thought I looked good in a couple boots and a couple outfits in my life, but I never, ever, I've always thought of myself as a 2, not a size 2. Out of 10, the 2. Never had confidence in my looks, etc. I still feel like right now that I've been able to kind of stave off aging and hold on to that 2 and be a strong 2. But I feel like this is the year that, boy, is it just rapidly falling. Now, I think the reason why I feel that way is because when I used to do my show, the lighting was different. The room was darker and I looked better. Okay, now we've added more light. We have more lighting. We have the sign. I'm like, oh, God, I look like that. Oh, man, I'm losing my looks. I'm going to go from a 2 to a -2 and then a -22 and then a -222. So if you feel like you are at the point where you are losing your looks, what do you do? And I feel like this is the year I am losing those looks. Losing weight causes you to lose looks. I've been losing weight. And sometimes when you start to lose the fat in your face, you start to get older. The stress, maybe you've been doing lashes and buying certain makeup and now things are expensive. So you got to go cheaper. And I have not done the Botox thing and everything else that everybody else is doing. I don't want to. I'd love to look sculpted, but I'm just too afraid. And I don't have the money. I don't have the money to do cosmetic surgery. So first and foremost, what you need to do is understand that everybody loses their looks. Now, I've seen people age and they still look good, but yeah, they're not like they used to be. I think some people do age better and look better with age. I think there are some individuals where they look so much better now than they, it's interesting. Angelina Jolie, I never thought Angelina Jolie was pretty until I saw her in like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Once she was in her 30s, some people peak at a different time. And then she lost too much weight and she didn't look, but people, vary and they change, with where they look. So first and foremost, first advice I give is we're all going to lose our looks. So expect that to happen. Now, you don't want to think that somebody's looking at you going, oh, God, she lost her looks. I am sure, that's been happening to me. But see, here's my thing. If people from my class and school and previous work are saying that, to me, that's a compliment. Because I'm like, I had looks? You mean I was attractive at some point? So to me, if somebody says, she's been losing her looks, I'm going to turn that into a positive and fast, going, really? I look good? Oh, okay. That's probably my biggest regret. When I was younger, it was always covering up the skin. I didn't like showing cleavage. It was turtlenecks and long skirts and all that. And I could wear a bikini. I was skinny enough for a bikini. I have no pictures of my honeymoon in my bikini. I might have. I don't know where those pictures are. I have the bikini. But I don't, and I did, because again, I never thought I was bikini worthy. And so my biggest regret is I didn't take pictures. See, now people are taking pictures of themselves going, okay, I want to capture, if I have my looks, capture it. So that's my next piece of advice. If you think this is the best you're ever going to look, then enjoy it. Get some professional photos or do some pictures of your own, play around with the filters. But if you really, want to feel like you have something that you want to, capture, before you lose it, do it. Take pictures. Enjoy it. If there's an outfit you want to wear, do it. A big mistake people make is they try to look the same when they had looks. Okay? Now, I understand I have a fanny pack and people are thinking, you could get with this and you could get with that. They know I'm going all 90s, hammer time. I just like the fanny pack. It's just more comfortable. And I can't wear it across the chest because the boobies protruded out and then I can't see anything. So I like wearing a fanny pack. Sorry, but I'm not trying to look like I was in the 90s. I'm not wearing styles from the 90s. Most of my clothes I have are because, I just, I'm not buying new clothes all the time. I will rewear clothes. But if you try to go back to your Madonna days in the 80s, okay, you're going to look ridiculous. And so embrace the age. If you are in your 40s, if you are in your 50s, if you're in your 60s, you could look beautiful. Helen exquisite. Jennifer Lopez looks great. She's in her 50s. Michelle Pfeiffer looks good. People are so afraid, well, somebody's going to look at me and say I'm old. Everybody's always going to look at you and say you're old. When I was a high school senior, and I'd be working with kindergartners, they looked up at me going, wow, you're old. So get that out of your head. Everybody is always going to look at you like you're old. And then older people are going to look at you like you're young. That's just get that. Don't panic about that. That happens. But, embrace the age. If you want to do some nip tuck, and I know I could probably use some, not doing it yet. If you think that's going to help, if there's something that's bothering you, like one thing I should probably consider that a lot of my friends have done is their eyelids droop. And so they get blepharoplasty to kind of raise the eyelids, and it reshapes their eyes. I don't know if I want that yet. But if it gets to the point where I feel like I can't open my eyes and the skin is drooping, I'm going to have to do something. Just like the only plastic surgery I've had has been on the boobies, where after breastfeeding, I wanted them above the waist, right? And so I got a lift, mastopexy. That was great because then it helped me with working out, etc. It sucks because I gained weight after that. I had a great weight. Everybody said, after you get plastic surgery, you're going to gain weight. And I'm like, why? They go, it's a curse. I'm like, what are you talking about? And it's true. I never got back to my weight I was, and something happened where after the surgery, it's like, I don't know. But anyway, still very, very happy that I got that done. But I did it because of function. So if there's something that you need for function, go for it. But be very careful that once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. The idea of, what about my spouse? Is my spouse going to find me attractive? What makes you unattractive to your spouse is being a jerk, being a bitch, being mean, and so if you don't want to tick off your spouse or have your spouse unattracted to you, then don't be mean, don't be evil, don't be be who they married, where you love them, exude love, exude friendliness, be helpful, be have positivity. Then brings us to the next point: be positive. One thing that ages us is they're making too much noise. Oh my gosh, where's these kids' parents? It's too loud. It's this, and I see that, in my friends where they're starting to be grumpy old men. And I'm like, dude, come on. It's not that big a deal. We didn't care when we were in our 20s. Yeah, but I that ticks me off. That, yeah, I know, but don't let that eat you up inside. And so be positive. And so if a kid is playing around at a restaurant, enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, if the kid messes with your meal, that's one thing. But don't be like giving dirty looks, and that ages you. In terms of embracing the aging, and I don't always do that well. Sometimes I put on too much makeup. Sometimes my hair is a mess. Sometimes there are styles you could wear. I want to look like Dolly Parton when I'm Dolly Parton's age. I might need some bigger boobies, but I gotta tell you, I think Dolly Parton is exquisite, and she aged beautifully. So think about how and I understand she's rich, but she's always positive. She's always smiling. She's always happy. And wigs. So that's another thing. Play around with some wigs. But we all lose our looks. It's okay. Hydrate. Eat healthy, be positive, and embrace the aging. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret.
Powered by science.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So a key vaccine panel for the CDC has voted to change the hepatitis B vaccine dosing. This is something that has been controversial, safe but controversial, as newborns, when they are 1 day old in the hospital, are getting the first of their hepatitis B vaccine series. The hepatitis B vaccine protects them against hepatitis B. It could be a very deadly, long, debilitating disease of the liver. And hepatitis B, we have been able to protect people against with the vaccine. However, parents are concerned because it's a 3-dose series given at 1 day old, then at 1 to 2 months, and then at 6 months to 12 months or 6 months. But it's a 3-part series. And many parents have been kind of concerned that the first shot is given when the baby is only 1 day old. Many doctors have also shown concern, but the majority of studies have shown that it's safe. These newborns do well. They get the vaccine, and that vaccine series is already started, 1 down, and then 100 to go. So the vote came today after the panel heard presentations from multiple individuals, some of whom are skeptical about that vaccine guidance. And this guidance, the hepatitis B vaccine, has been around since the early 90s. And we have been giving newborns the first shot. But why this is being revisited now is with the rise in pediatric obesity, rise in chronic health issues of the pediatric population, rise in autism and neurodevelopmental disorders. You have RFK Jr. and other individuals saying, look, what are we doing differently since the 90s, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, that we didn't do in the 50s, 60s, and 70s? And let's make sure it's the safest thing. So you have some individuals say, look, I'm fine with the hepatitis B vaccine, just let's give it to the baby when they're a little older. You have others saying, why would you mess with it? It's not the vaccine. The vaccine's not causing these issues. So there's a split. Well, I do feel that the hepatitis B vaccine, hepatitis B chronicity, as well as incidence in the pediatric population, has drastically dropped since vaccination. But I also understand when parents say, can we just wait, see a few more studies, and, can I wait till the child's a month old or 2 months old or 3 months old? When parents say, I want to wait till my child is having sex because hepatitis B is contracted through sexual activity, I have to remind them that I thought that originally too, where, the average kid isn't doing sex and drugs. However, you could get hepatitis B from mom if she has hepatitis B. You could get hepatitis B from dad. You could get hepatitis B from another family member who has it if you're exposed. When my son was bit by another child and that child broke the skin when he bit him, if that child had hepatitis B, he could have given my child hepatitis B. So these kids could get it from bloodborne pathogen communicable disease exposure. And then you do want these children protected, as early as possible. So the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or the ACIP, recommended that if an infant's mother tests negative for hepatitis B, patients should consult a doctor about whether the baby needs an early vaccine dose. ACIP also suggested that infants who skip the birth dose shouldn't receive their first dose until they are at least 2 months of age. Now, this is something that a lot of doctors have kind of been, shall we say, supportive of, because a lot of the vaccines we give start at 2 months old. And so can the hepatitis B wait until they're 2 months old, have at least 8 weeks of post-fetal immunity? Some doctors say, well, no, because now that's an additional shot. These parents are going to freak out because there's so many shots these kids are getting at the 2 month old, but they're kind of already getting their second hepatitis B vaccine at that 2 month old and time anyway. So the ACIP is not saying to cancel the hepatitis B vaccine. They're saying we may not have to do it when the child is 24 hours old. So proponents of this argue that we just don't know enough about the potential risks and that most babies aren't likely to contract the virus. One panel member, Dr. Evelyn Griffin, said that the vaccine could lead to autoimmune conditions. Now, do we have a lot of studies showing that? I don't believe we do. But there are side effects that can come with these vaccines. And so when a parent asks me, do I have to do it at 1 day old? Or can't I do it when they get their other vaccines? Even though the data says it's safe, do we know 100%? And moms and dads want to know 100%. I don't blame them, for wanting to. So the Wall Street Journal reports on this, and I honestly, I will support whatever the CDC and the ACIP suggest. They're not saying to cancel the vaccine. I believe that vaccine is extremely important. I'm really excited we have a hepatitis B vaccine. I think it is saving lives. I have seen what hepatitis B does to individuals. It is some scary stuff. In fact, all pregnant moms are screened for hepatitis B, so that we can, and so that we can be prepared in case baby gets it from mom. HIV can be passed from baby to mom. I mean, we have some really, really bad diseases out there and bad viruses that can cause bad diseases. And so having the vaccine is a blessing. But do we have to give the vaccine when the child is only 24 hours old? And do we allow the parents to have a choice? I don't think there's anything wrong in that. Public health experts, though, are warning that if you delay the vaccine or only immunize the babies of infected women, that it's, these babies will be at risk. According to Wall Street Journal, they say they know that because the hepatitis B test is typically done in the first trimester, women could still become infected later in the pregnancy. Some might not get tested at all. They also say that beyond maternal transmission, the virus is often spread through shared surfaces like washcloths and toothbrushes. Very interestingly, hepatitis C, which we don't vaccinate against, hepatitis C you could get from a nail salon. This is why nail salons are autoclaving their instruments. And hepatitis C can live on surfaces for months. So, I used to bring my own I really trust where I go, but I used to bring my own autoclaved instruments, because I didn't want anybody using somebody else's instruments on me. But hepatitis B can also live on surfaces. And so most of us have been vaccinated. I was vaccinated for hepatitis B in medical school. But in terms of kids, they're getting their series. It's just, do they need to get it at 24 hours old, or can they wait till at least they're 2 months? Now, Denmark, I believe, does not recommend the hepatitis B vaccine for all newborns. I believe Dr. Tracy Beth Hogue suggested that the hepatitis B vaccines not be given to children. I really do like the idea of kids getting the series, but I would like to see more data. I want to ensure that these kids are safe, and I want to ensure that the number of vaccines we're giving a child is not interfering with other vaccines, inducing immunity, and ensuring that it's not causing side effects. The more we learn about infectious disease, the more we want to come up with a vaccine. Malaria vaccine, HIV vaccine, hepatitis C vaccines. There's a lot of things, we want to, have and protect our most vulnerable population from. But parents are starting to go, there's another one. We have another one. And it's not just one. We have to have multiple. We got to do 2 chickenpox vaccines, 2 MMR, and that might not be enough. Pertussis boosters. And so some parents want to spread it out. Sometimes the spreading out, that'll satisfy those parents, where you're spreading it out to day one. For a lot of other people, they're skeptical. And so giving them the option, because right now, parents are telling me when they say, no, thank you, I'd like to pass, don't give my newborn the vaccine, I'll do it later. Some of them are getting, some stink eye and some pushback. So as far as I'm concerned, do the research, make sure what we're doing is safe. If it is safe, great. If there's questions, let's investigate that first. And let parents have a choice. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. So this headline caught my eye from the Telegraph, where podcasts are now mostly mid-wit slop, it says. And they say it's time to tune out. And, it's interesting because it looks like everybody and their mother has a podcast. And I have been very, very grateful for my radio career. And people always ask, what's the difference between radio and podcasting? Well, radio is live, and you have the blessing of being on a radio station where somebody can turn the radio station on, hear you. You have affiliates that play your show. And I'm very grateful to all of my affiliates who do that. And you're able to, take callers, and you're able to, offer a platform where people have freedom of speech. You could teach, you can entertain, you could inform. I love radio. Podcasting, similar, but it's where people can not tune in live, but they can access the show at any time. And they can listen to it on the run, during their workout, on their drive. And podcasting made sense because with all the digital technology we have, why have to just tune in something live? It's kind of like the TiVo or the VCR of TV, where now people can listen to shows. And what also made podcasting amazing was individuals who didn't necessarily have a relationship with a network like I do with Talk Media Network, or they don't have relationships with affiliates. They can have their own platform, and they can now do their own streaming platform and make their own podcast for free. And so it's fantastic that it allowed freedom of speech. It allowed people to be able to get out there, talk about what they wanted to talk about, express themselves. And some podcasts have just soared to amazing popularity levels like Joe Rogan. And then you have other people where they have a podcast and nobody listens. And so what's very interesting about podcasts is I've listened to a lot of different ones, and I find the majority of them very, very informative. And I love listening to all sides. I like listening to something new, but where there's some issues as it pertains to podcasting is the qualifications of the person who is behind the mic. And so when you start to look up and you listen to a person go, wait, what are they talking about? And they're like, oh, okay, well, how do they know? Now, some of these individuals, wow, they were Navy SEALs. As far as I'm concerned, anything they want to talk about that has to do with that, they are very, very well versed. And somebody's going to be talking about an operation, a military operation. I'd rather hear from a Navy SEAL. But you have a lot of individuals who portend or who market themselves as some expert. And then they say things and people are like, well, okay, well, I believe this person. I believe this person. Dr. Oz rose to fame on Oprah, but he's a physician. He's a cardiovascular surgeon. And even though some doctors are like, why is he talking about GI issues? Listen, cardiovascular surgeons, they go through years and years and years of training. I think he does, shall we say, earn that badge to be able to talk about medical issues. But if something is beyond his purview, beyond his specialty, he has to say it. I'm board certified in family medicine. I'm a fellow in family medicine. But if there's going to be something that I am not trained in, that I don't know much about, when I bring up law, when I bring up economy, I'll always preface by saying, look, I am not an expert on law or economy. I'm also not an expert on dogs, because my dog is with me here in the studio, and that dog is driving me crazy, but I love my puppy. I'm also not an expert in veterinary medicine, but I'll give advice. But I'll tell you, and I'll always preface it so that we can, have the ability to let you do your own research. Anything I say on my show, I do want you to I do want you to look it up. I don't want anybody to take my opinion as gold. And I do that with my patients as well. I say, look, if this is a medical treatment, that's your option. This is what I'm recommending, but get a second opinion. I think getting a second opinion is important. The problem is many people, as they listen to these podcasts, they don't get a second opinion. They listen to one thing and then they think they're an expert. And they'll quote this one person, like, who is that person? What qualifications do they have? What are we talking about here? And so people's drive to become famous, to make money on their podcasts, now the jerks, the idiots that don't get a following, that don't have a leg to stand on, figuratively, in terms of what they can't back up what they're saying. Those podcasts don't last too long. Or somebody who doesn't know how to ask the questions. I mean, Joe Rogan went from Fear Factor to, here he is, I think it was I think he had the CEO of NVIDIA on his show, saying, look, doesn't that scare you? How AI is, going to replace jobs? So I really do believe that we have some fantastic figures out there that are worthy of our attention, are worthy of us listening to their podcast. However, you got to be careful. And when we've educated ourselves with Google and with Bing and with DuckDuckGo and having access to the internet, which I'm very happy about. I don't want medicine to be monopolized just by doctors or CEO or suits. I don't want economy advice, economic advice, stock market advice, how to fix your own toilet. I love the fact that we can educate ourselves. And even though people say that our latest generations are not as educated, actually they are. I am blown away at how my kids know current events even before I do. They're aware, they're getting information. And luckily they're using sources that we could trust. But there's a lot of sources out there you can't trust. So now that everybody and their mother has a podcast, what happens next? People say that radio is dying. Radio's still here. And I think radio will always still be here because on podcasts, the average person can't just call in. They can't just share their opinion. So, my show plays live in some cities. In other cities, it doesn't play live. But at least we have an answer line where people could call in, put their question out there, give their opinion, and I could play it. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. But where we are live, we can have listeners call in and talk and give their opinion. And so radio has a role. It also has a role in the emergency broadcast system. It has a role in when all things go down and all internet goes down, people can still turn on a radio and still access the radio waves. It's a fantastic, fantastic tool. So it's not going away. With podcasting, it is becoming diluted. And now everybody and their mother has a podcast. And everybody thinks they're this big podcast star, and good for them. It's a business. Good for you. And I I think, if you're trying to inform and you want to teach and you know something and you have something you could contribute, go for it. But if you are if you're a charlatan, if you're scamming people, no, you have no business having that gift of pretending, that you're an expert and possibly leading people wrong. You have a right to freedom of speech, but you also have to disclose that you're not a physician. You have to disclose you're not somebody who's legally trained or criminally justice trained. You have to disclose that. You can't just say, well, look, I'm on air and people listen to me, so I'm an expert. No, that just doesn't work. And if it's an opinion show, then give your opinion. You could give your opinion. I talk about relationships all the time, talk about marriages. I think relationship shows, lifestyle shows, absolutely what works for you. A lot of individuals who have made it, look at Oprah. Yeah, I'm not sure what her training is, but boy, do people value her opinion. And that happens. It's just now we have so many people. And so when you see an article like this, is it mind, wit, slop? Yeah, there is a lot of BS out there. But I think the ones who really, really do well and the ones who, talk about their experience, they educate themselves from their own listeners and from their own, from their own guests. And I think they have, every right to be doing what they're doing. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.